In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 ways that you can use this new moon total solar eclipse in Sagittarius to your benefit that will launch you into 2021. Hello, fellow flames. In case we haven't met, my name is Dr. Harmony, and I hope you live fearless, live loved, and live free. In this twin flame energy update, I'm going to share with you the energy forecast that I'm seeing for this grand finale as we exit 2020 and head into 2021. So we have here coming up the new moon total solar eclipse in Sagittarius on December 14th, and the theme that I'm seeing around this energy is all about ground zero. And ground zero represents this neutrality point, 0 point, starting over, fresh start, clean slate, preparing us to go into 2021. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 ways that you can use this most impactful energy of the year, this grand finale, as we go through what I see this new moon and this solar eclipse being this opening portal to the gateway of the 1221 portal that's going to be this, what I'm just going to describe the vision that I have. I see it as being a whirlpool or a vortex, and it's going to like suck you in. And what we've been leading up to get here is really opening up and awakening up all of those aspects of ourselves and the contrast of our polarities. And so what we're doing now is we're kind of having, and I'm just going to use the word collision, that's bringing these together to bring balance within our these opposite polarities, and that is going to then sort of suck us in to the vortex of our destiny, basically. And that means all the work that we've been doing up to this point is technically going to make it look like we've been this overnight success. And as we go into next year, the theme that I'm seeing is being launched into the next level. And so all the work we've done has been the momentum to like really create these big breakthroughs. But as we have this total solar eclipse coming in here in this timeline, this is leading up to hitting some really, really deep stuff. I'm seeing this with myself, and I'm seeing this with clients. And so something that is really important to add into this concept of this portal right now, that's opening this portal to this new energy that's coming in with it, is that everything that's been lost is basically returning. And so one of the things that, as we think of astrology, we think of the 12 astrological signs. Well, there has been a lost sign, the 13th sign, the Ophiuchus sign, that is technically runs through the right around the 30th of November into the 18th of December. And so this whole eclipse, this whole new moon, is connecting to this new energy and kind of awakening these lost parts and everything. So I've been really being shown that energy from that constellation, that is basically, it's one of the largest constellations of all the zodiacs. It has 22 major stars that's in it. And, we have the Taurus and the Bull and the Leo and the Lion and all those things. This is technically a warrior, a man that is slaying an anaconda, a snake, the serpent, and he has his head in his left hand and his tail, the tail of that anaconda in the right hand, and it's like he's slaying that anaconda. Well, in that serpent energy, we think about, and I'm being shown that, that's connected to like that Kundalini, and also like with the awakening of twin flames, and like the return of all of this energy that has been lost for, long periods of time, if it's even ever been to the level it's been. Because if you really date this back through all of the energy prior, if you go back to kind of say Adam and Eve, when the serpent and the snake concept, it was forbidden. It was the forbidden fruit. Okay, so it's like we're waking up that lost fruit, that lost desire, that lost passion, that lost pleasure, and that tree of life and wisdom and knowledge, as it is in heaven, as so it is on earth. And as we open up this new energy, basically these are activating, like all of us, to return to our star origin in this. And this Ophiuchus energy is coming through in a starseed energy as beings within that constellation that is opening up this light and this portal that's sending us this truth for seekers. If you've been a seeker, it's sending you more truth that's activating you and connecting you to the golden heart. And what's the point of that? Is the point of it is just like that warrior holding on and slaying that snake. Like, we are basically slaying this twin flame journey in a way that we are becoming the ultimate warriors, the ultimate goddesses, and the ultimate lovers. So let's talk about those 5 key ways that you can use this energy to your advantage as you go through this vortex, as you go through this portal. The first thing is that it is putting you into a position to be forced to do another deep cleanse, if you even thought that was possible. I didn't, and I've been going through it all week. And that's basically why this video is going to be getting out later, in a combination with the energy of where it needs to be for the portal that's coming up here on this new moon total eclipse, but coming out of the energy that we came out of that last lunar eclipse and that full moon on the 30th of November. That was even another part of this portal that was kind of hitting it from more of, say, the feminine side. This is coming in and hitting it from the masculine side of the emotions within this new moon connection. And then those emotions, if you have been on the fence with anything, or you have ran from anything, or let's just say if there was something that you didn't even know exist, it's going to come to the surface. And basically you're going to be put in positions, situations, as always, to be triggered to bring to light these things. And one of the ways I'm experiencing this right now is that it's like I'm doing some things that are moving forward, and I'm taking action in the positive way, and looking at plans and goals and intentions and dreams and things that I have already had into motion for quite some time, and having known that they're coming straight into alignment coming up, at the beginning of this year. Well, with my father and all these things going on, and taking a deeper dive through his journey, which, by the way, thank everyone for your prayers and continued prayers. And he's in a lot of pain right now. And actually, I'm facing that pain with him. It's like I'm clearing it with him. And so in that is also kind of like I'm feeling this sense of pain within the death of myself, because I'm seeing how in all those new things that I want to create, that I'm being tested like on the highest level ever, to literally go through a process of being handed on a platter all of the things I wanted, but really that platter then is sort of like yanked out from under me, and it's showing me the contrast of all these catch-22s in every direction. But it's kind of like every time I go to move towards the direction in where I think is the highest timeline or alignment of it, that's yanked out, and there's another one presents itself, and as it presents itself, it's even better or more expanded, and I'm gaining more knowledge and more wisdom out of it, and I'm getting more integration. And then that process, as I maneuver through that, is triggering all like the review of the childhood wounds and the patterns and the stories. So basically, you're facing these deepest, darkest fears because you're really letting go of the old identity. And I know I am, and it's not coming from one angle, it's coming from everything in every direction. And these fears, like one of the things I'm seeing in this is because, I consider myself to have went through a lot to feel really good about where I'm at and to see myself moving really quickly to the next level and being okay with it. And then it's almost like, are you really okay with it? And like, is there a fear of the success going forward? And I can see how I've set myself up from the higher self to kind of be forced to let go as fast as something comes in. And that to realize, like, well, are you going to continue the old pattern, or are you going to implement the new pattern? Are you going to basically break through this barrier? Because what I can see very clearly in some of the things that I'm talking about within myself, that I won't go into the stories here because it's just too much, but I can see that from a higher place, I set myself up to move down a path that taught me more, showed me more, shared more, had more awakening, saw more. And in the process of that, then basically I can see that technically, if I don't follow through with what I had intended, then basically the fear wins. And that it's like, oh, like you're about to face maybe one of the biggest fears of your life, and you could say, oh, well, that's very uncomfortable and I don't necessarily have to do that. I'm kind of choosing to do that, but then everything you want's on the other side of that. So it's literally this process of going through what I'm describing is going through a pattern of everything in this very fine line to face these fears so that you can go to the next level. And it's going to create a breakthrough by going ahead and following through with your actions, moving in the direction of basically your destiny. And technically that led me into the second thing that is transpiring during this time in this portal of energy and being sucked into that vacuum that I'm talking about, of the vortex of your destiny that I was mentioning earlier, is that you cannot escape your destiny. You have been moving along to get where you're headed, or to get where you're at, or where you're going. And now it's sort of like there's these carrots on a stick, and you're kind of like the rabbit, and it's moving around without your even having to do anything. It's just automatically coming into fruition, coming into play. And this is literally about embodying your destiny, basically, but in a physical being way, but also in the physical reality way. So everything is manifesting in a place of coming, or right around the corner of being like in your reality, and it's coming into your physical reality. And the key, like I just kind of said in the last one, is you kind of set yourself up to be here. And now that you are as awake as you are, and that you can see those things, like you've already like crossed the threshold of there's no turning back. You're too awakened, and I've said that before if you follow me. And everything you want is right on the verge of this breakthrough. And that's why I'm telling you 2021 is going to be this catapulting. And what I'm also describing here is coming from a place of not just your personal launch, your personal like vortex of your personal destiny, but this is a collective destiny. So for those of us who've been around and doing this for a long time, and you keep thinking portals and destiny and getting there and doing this, each time it's starting to happen, more and more people are waking up, and we're collectively coming together with more and more of us. And as we do so, it's still happening, but it's happening on a very collective scale. So let's just say when I said you can't escape your destiny, the collective alignment is moving into the neutrality of all of these things, that's sucking the collective into the destiny of our collective assignment. And we're being funneled into that, or potentially shoved in, but it feels to me more like this vacuum. If you're feeling this, let me know, because I haven't really heard anybody say this. It just keeps coming to me. And so if you're feeling this sense of being sucked in towards something, or that you feel like you're on the edge of this huge breakthrough, but yet hasn't quite manifested, or if you're being forced to face like the deepest shadow, know that that shadow technically is showing up because what happens is the more light you have, the more shadow you can transmute. So the more greater your light, the more shadows tend to come to you. But in the process of not only are you then transforming or transmuting the shadows, basically you then, in doing the shadow shifting or transforming or shaping of that energy, going through the process of that is bringing more light back to you. So it's like it's feeding you. And so the more, you're facing these fears, the more you're gaining this truth and this vision and awakening and this sight and knowledge. And the more you're aware, the more you can face, basically. So the third thing that can help you catapult through this portal of energy and suck right on into that destiny is if you will remember this concept that the sun also rises. So if we're having the darkness, you're going to have the light, which is what I kind of just mentioned. Now, one of the things I'm personally seeing, and I'm seeing this with clients too, and I'm going to give you an analogy of it that came through to me a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, something like that, that Ernest Hemingway had wrote all of these manuscripts and had several books, a whole briefcase full of manuscripts they'd been working on. And his wife went to a publishing company and she took that briefcase with her to submit all of those manuscripts for potential review to create, the books that they were to hopefully become. Well, in the process of that, those manuscripts and that entire briefcase vanished. It came up missing. Technically, who knows, robbed, whatever. And in the process of that, when he came back out of that, he even says, and you look this up, he says, had those manuscripts not have been taken or lost or vanished, then this book, The Sun Also Rises, would have never even been born, birthed, or came to fruition. But it was the culmination of all of those manuscripts that then created the grand finale of the greatness of the positive side of all the shadows. Now, that hit me like a ton of bricks, because back in October, I had woke up in the middle of the night, and like I do a lot, and started downloading all this energy and started writing like a mad woman. And I was like, it was so clear, so concise, conveyed all the messages that all these things I'd been working on in such precise clarity. And as you notice, probably my videos here are getting better too. So if you've noticed that, please put a message below. I'd love your feedback on how I've changed, the message changed, but it's through these things I'm telling you. So what happened was, inside of me, I had this feeling that for the last 2 years, and longer than that, but I have like 2 years worth of content that I've been creating, that I've been compiling, and I have been storing on an external hard drive. And that morning that I woke up and started like writing like this mad woman, and I started seeing how concise and clear that was, I had this feeling like to go back and dig up all those things that I worked on for 2 years, thinking those were going to be a part of anything, that they basically, it was kind of like I had this feeling that I didn't even need, that was done, it was over, and to let it go and to move on. And so this is kind of what I'm saying about facing the fear. Like, we're being asked to let go of everything we've known to date. And so technically, to kind of bring this full circle here, I had that feeling the very next day. I went to get something off the hard drive, and the hard drive was not accessible. And all I knew is I couldn't access anything of those 2 years of and we're talking some major content. I mean, I technically have 10 books going in some form or direction. But in that morning I woke up, I saw how those 10 books actually became 20 books. And that how anything I'd worked on up to that point was nothing. And that this was the real, like the cream of the crop of everything that I had been doing. And so I saw very clearly that, like, it didn't, like, had I not had that feeling that couple days prior and lost all that, I'd have freaked out, I'm sure. Because, like, I can't begin to tell you the greatness of what I put together. So I'm seeing that then, you know, all of my clients started showing up with these things of, like, say they're working towards their purpose and their mission, and I help people brand their purpose, their package, package their purpose and brand their message, and to bring their soul mission into a form that you can see. And so, you know, bring that into physical reality, which, by the way, if I don't know if you've ever known that, but I have actually, I'll just put a link below for you in case anybody's interested in that. I have like several programs that I offer for that, and one of them is a 6-figure Lightworker blueprint. So that's kind of a whole different realm of what I do here, and I haven't really announced that so much, but that wasn't even planned. So I'll put a link below in case anybody wants to check out some of the extra things that I do, and you're on a fence of trying to get from, say, where you've been in your purpose and you're stuck because you got 10 things going and you don't know where to start and you don't know how to compile it all together, and you, God forbid, you let it all go and start over, you know, because that's also letting go of that identity. So I've had a lot of clients on this fence of trying to let this go, all the stuff that they've created. And what I told you the theme is starting from ground zero, nothing, like nothing. But in letting it go, you're letting go of all of the stuff you have hung on to. So don't hang on to these things that are technically now holding you back from getting what you want. Now, as I say that, the concept of the twin flame is coming in. You know, as we move forward in this and how we perceive twin flames and the, you know, if we're redefining everything and reprogramming structures of all kinds of things here, why the hell wouldn't we redefine and change the concept of the old thoughts, the old information about twin flames, right? It's becoming something new, just like everything else. And so if you are stuck in that and you're on the fence with that and you're not moving into alignment with you and your soul purpose, you're going to be forced to face a lot of fears to let go enough to get past and detach from this attachment to this experience. Because just like, you know, and I'm saying the sun also rises. Everything you want may not come in until you technically let go of your twin, let go of the label, let go of the face, and really moving beyond to coming into what your, you know, destiny is, so you can have what it is you're really desiring. So the fourth thing to know about this energy is that your steps are being guided. The divine alignment that happens when you go through that portal and that vortex of those polarities coming into neutrality, aligning you with source energy, and then sucking you through the portal of your connection and alignment with everything, like in all at once, or even into a new level than what you've already done if you've experienced that. Basically, you're being shown right now not to hang on to anything, to let go of everything, but to also trust that the right people, the right resources, the right places that you're to be will all come into this alignment, like with clarity, and will be very easy. Things are just going to start falling into place. But what I will say is, as that happens, basically that's where you're going deeper into the fear, because now that calls for choices to maneuver the alignment of this. And that's where I've been this week with some things that I have been going through, is to basically be connecting on this personal transformation and some things I'm working with for some assistance with it, to be guided and led to one person to think, oh my God, how could it get better than any of this? And like, how amazing. And this is divine alignment. But then to also know that I have to do some research and I have to check out more and I have to get other opinions. And so then to be shifted into another direction to somebody that has even a better idea, maybe doesn't have quite the connection with, but then, okay, well, what is that teaching me? And to show me how that was triggering and mimicking some things that related to my childhood that my dad took on, that I took on for him, and that this person and the experience of it was triggering like an old part of like me, of how that connected to my childhood and basically took me back to where that whole pattern had started that I was seeing. And so basically one of the things that, like, technically when I say that, you know, that you're being guided, it's like, if you're moving in that direction, and then let's just say this, that then I thought I had my person, and then technically that person then says, no, I think you need this, that called for a whole nother person and a whole nother concept and a whole nother way, that then maybe was going to be both people. That then, you know, from that, then I was processing, well, if that's the case, then which comes first in this scenario, and how do I align this, and how does that align? And then what I was also learning from that person was to get out of my personal doctor role, and then also be my feminine side with this person, to let them direct me and basically tell me what to do, and then to know that I was trusting that process. And so in that, the reason I'm saying that is because, like the twin flame journey and with the twin flame, everything I just described to you was people, experiences, and showing up with all these resources that was going to help me accomplish what my destiny is becoming and what I want to achieve in the physical reality going forward next year. And to realize that I quickly saw that I got attached to the first thing. And I even went through this saying, I'm going to be like that whole House Hunters episode. It's going to be like pro and con, and, you know, making my choice and narrowing down my list. I mean, it's a whole week of stuff, and but about a really big deal. And so it just has taught me to navigate and to show me that I can't hang on to anything, and to show me that every time in the process of it, it wasn't like I was seeking or I was searching for anything, but everywhere I went, what I needed was showing up to expand what I had formulated in my mind. So it was showing me that the idea I had was getting bigger, and it was showing me it was getting better, but that was going to take very quickly letting go of everything I just thought and the way I thought it was going to be, and then being directed and guided in every step to align to what really feels like the ultimate part, being the ultimate goddess, as I mentioned. And that now from that place, that's really representing my highest version of who I'm becoming, and actually the resurrection of that. And then I could very quickly see everything about that decision hit every deepest fear in me, that I could see very quickly where if I didn't take action in that step, then I basically was allowing fear to win. And so it's some really deep stuff we're talking about here. So I hope that helps you in some reflection in your own journey of realizing the divine's going to show up and direct you, and including divine timing, because my original plan got shifted by several months through this process of all of this. And I look back at how long I've already been planning it, and how if I'd have even followed through then I wouldn't even be here now, to be at a better place with it now, to be at a better plan with it now, to be ready to be directed to the ultimate version of it now. So the fifth thing you can do during this energy to really just smoothly go on into that vortex would be to get out of the way. And to realize that in the process, that all you're really doing is allowing the magic to happen, and allowing everything that you've wanted to come in to you. that it's about the new way. You don't have to be in control anymore to make things happen. So, that's easier said than done. And, so just kind of some tips for you to think about getting out of the way would be to really evaluate who you are and where you are, and to know that like there's been no wrong way about your path, to accept it, and that's accepting you. And that in the process of that, you don't have to apologize to anyone. You don't need validation from anyone. That you're to come into this acceptance of where you are, wherever you are. That is very perfect. I've said this to a client, I think it might have been yesterday, that everything is perfectly imperfect and imperfectly perfect, and that we're being kind of asked to let go of the control and the ego behind the concept and the idea of the perfectionism of how we try to control and manipulate the process because of letting go. The scenario I just explained to you, going through my whole thing that's been a week's worth of stuff this week, I could see like in it that when even it gets to say that final piece, that there's still some pieces coming together, every bit of it is showing me trust everything about it. And I'm telling you, it's a lot of trust to put into the hands of what this is moving towards. So in that, then when you get to that place, you need to stop second guessing your decisions. You need to know that technically you're not making a wrong choice, that in that process of moving through that is going to allow the divine to show up with the resources, allow you to process it, but you can't hang on to the situation or the experience. You've got to embrace it in such a way that you're moving through it with your heart, and to be able to take one step at a time in it, and to do that and focus on what's in front of you, not go to the outcome and go into the fears and let those things like rule you. Because I had some fears in that kept me awake and wasn't sleeping very good, that I haven't done in a long time due to like how deep these fears were hitting me. But it's bringing the polarity, the contrast of those polarities into the neutrality that I'm talking about, so that you begin to accept all your parts and all of your sides and all of your aspects and all of yourself. And that when you do that, you're no longer judging yourself. And therefore, who you are and what you are is what you attract and who you attract. And that's how then the universe is going to support you, because things will like magnetize towards you like a magnet that will technically just, suck, right together with you through that vortex, because you've sucked into the alignment of your destiny. So I send you so much love, so much light, and may you embrace this moment, no matter how deep, how dark it is. Know that the sun also rises. And so make sure you check out all my links below, leave me a comment, and know how this energy is affecting you. And may you always face your fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. Namaste.